Captain Veltar pressed his clawed hands against the cool metal of his command chair. The bridge of his ship hummed with worry. Red lights flashed on every screen around him. His crew worked fast at their stations, but fear filled their eyes. The Void Reapers were coming closer. "How much time do we have?" Veltar asked his officer at the weapons station. 20 minutes until they reach firing range, Captain," came the reply. The officer's voice shook as she spoke. Her name was Zira, and she had served with Veltar for many years. Never had he seen her this scared. Veltar looked at the main screen. Hundreds of dark ships moved toward them like a black cloud. Each ship was twice the size of his vessel. The Void Reapers had no faces, no names, no mercy. They were machines, built for one purpose: to destroy all life in the galaxy. "Send another message to the Coalition fleet," Veltar ordered. "Sir, we lost contact with them 4 hours ago," Zira replied. The last message said they were under heavy attack near the Centauri system. Veltar felt his heart sink. The Coalition had been the galaxy's hope. Ships from 50 different worlds had joined together to fight the Reapers. Now they were gone, destroyed. His people, the Zephyrians, had led the Coalition. They had ruled this part of space for 3,000 years. Their blue crystal cities were famous across the galaxy. Their scientists had solved the secrets of faster-than-light travel. Their diplomats had made peace between warring species. None of that mattered now. The Reapers did not care about art or science or peace. They only wanted to harvest. They would take every living being and turn them into fuel for their war machines. "Captain, incoming message from the planet below," called out another crew member. His name was Thek, and he ran the communication station. "Put it on screen," Veltar said. The face of Governor Miran appeared. She looked tired and afraid. Behind her, Veltar could see smoke rising from the crystal spires of the capital city. "Captain, you must leave now," she said. "The Reapers have landed ground forces. They are moving through the city. We cannot hold them much longer." "Governor, we will not abandon you," Veltar replied. "You must. Someone needs to warn the rest of the galaxy. Someone needs to call for help." Her image flickered as explosions shook her building. "There is one hope. The humans." Veltar's second officer, Kess, turned from his station. "Captain, the humans are barely out of their own solar system. Their ships use chemical rockets. They have no weapons that could hurt the Reapers." Veltar remembered the reports about humans. They were a young species from a small blue planet called Earth. Only 100 years ago they had been fighting wars with metal weapons and flying in machines with wings. Now they had basic space travel and some colonies on nearby worlds. But there had been other reports too. During the recent trouble with the Orion pirates, human ships had appeared to help. The pirates had been raiding merchant vessels for months. Coalition forces had tried to stop them but failed. Then the humans arrived. Veltar had read the battle reports 3 times. The human ships were slow and clumsy compared to Zephyrian vessels. Their weapons were simple nuclear missiles, but they fought like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. When pirate ships damaged their engines, the humans rammed them. When their weapons ran out of power, they used their ships as giant bullets. The pirates had expected the humans to run when they saw they were outnumbered. Instead, the humans had charged straight at them. They lost half their fleet but destroyed every single pirate ship. Not one pirate escaped. "Sir, they are brave fighters," Zira said quietly. She had been thinking the same thing. But brave cannot stop the Reapers. The ship shook as enemy fire hit their shields. Warning sounds filled the bridge. Veltar looked at his crew. These beings had followed him through many dangers. Now he was about to ask them to die so he could send a message to a primitive world that might not even understand it. "All power to communications," he ordered. "Send a message on all frequencies. Include the old electromagnetic bands that primitive species still use." Thek's hands moved over his controls. "Ready to transmit, Captain." Veltar took a deep breath. He thought about his home world, the crystal cities where he had grown up, the schools where young Zephyrians learned about the wonders of the galaxy, the gardens where families gathered to watch the 3 moons rise. All of it would be gone soon. "To anyone receiving this message," he began, My name is Captain Veltar of the Zephyrian Coalition Fleet. Our galaxy is dying. An enemy called the Void Reapers has destroyed most of our worlds. They are machines that harvest all life. Our combined fleets have fallen. Billions are dead. The ship shook again, harder this time. Sparks flew from damaged control panels. One of his crew members called out damage reports, but Veltar kept talking. We are sending this message to every corner of the galaxy, to any species that can hear us. The Reapers will not stop. They will find your worlds too. If you have weapons, if you have ships, if you have any way to fight, please help us. We are attaching star charts and technical data about the enemy. He paused and looked directly into the camera. To the humans of planet Earth, we know you are new to space travel. We know your technology is basic. But we have seen how you fight. You do not give up. You do not run away. If there is any hope left in this galaxy, it may come from your world. Reaper weapons hit their ship again. The lights went out for a moment before emergency power kicked in. Veltar could smell smoke. Fire was spreading through the lower decks. Theo, coordinates of our location are included in this message, he continued. We are in the Andromeda sector, grid reference 774. The main Reaper fleet is moving toward the galactic core. They have over 10,000 ships. Their weapons can destroy a planet. Their shields can stop any attack we have tried. Another hit shook the ship. This time the artificial gravity failed for several seconds. Crew members floated in the air before gravity returned and they crashed back down. We do not expect to survive this battle, Veltar said, but maybe our message will reach someone who can make a difference. To all free species in the galaxy, remember us. Remember that we tried to stop the darkness. And if you have the power to fight, please do not let our deaths be for nothing. Zira called out from her station. Captain, shields are failing. Hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. Keep transmitting, Veltar ordered. Send it again on every frequency. The main screen showed the Reaper ships getting closer, their weapons charged with deadly light. Veltar had seen those weapons destroy entire starbases in seconds. His small science vessel would not last long. Message transmitted, sir, Tech reported, broadcasting on over 2,000 different frequencies, including the primitive bands. Good, Veltar said. He stood up from his command chair and walked to the viewing port. Outside, he could see stars scattered across the darkness of space. Somewhere out there was a small blue world full of beings who might be the galaxy's last hope. Kess joined him at the viewing port. Do you really think they will come, Captain? Veltar watched the enemy ships approaching. I have read the reports about humans, Kess. They are strange beings. They fight wars against their own species. They poison their own planet. They seem to enjoy violence and destruction. That does not sound hopeful, sir. But they also do something else, Veltar continued. When others are in danger, they risk everything to help. They call it being heroes. They would rather die fighting for strangers than live safe at home. If any species in the galaxy will answer our call, it will be them. The ship shook violently as Reaper weapons hit them again and again. Warning lights flashed everywhere. The crew held onto their stations as the ship spun out of control. Captain, we have lost all weapons, Zira reported. Life support is failing. We have maybe 5 minutes before the ship breaks apart. Then we use those 5 minutes well, Veltar said. He turned to Thek. Send the message again, and again. Keep sending until we have no power left. The communications officer nodded and began broadcasting. The same desperate plea went out across the galaxy, traveling at the speed of light toward distant worlds. Most would never receive it. Others would receive it too late. But maybe, just maybe, it would reach someone who could fight back. Captain, Kess said quietly, what if the humans do not have faster than light travel? What if they cannot reach us in time? Veltar smiled sadly. Then at least they will know what is coming. They can prepare. They can warn other species. Sometimes the best you can do is make sure the next person has a chance to fight. The Reaper ships opened fire with their main weapons. Beams of pure energy struck the Zephyrian vessel. The hull cracked and atmosphere rushed out into space. Veltar felt the deck plates buckling under his feet. "Keep transmitting," he shouted, over the noise of breaking metal and failing systems. In the final moments before his ship was destroyed, Captain Veltar thought about his message racing through space toward Earth. He pictured human beings receiving his call for help. He wondered what they would do. Would they hide and hope the Reapers never found them? Or would they do what the report suggested they always did when faced with impossible odds? The ship exploded in a flash of light that could be seen from the planet below. But the message had already left, traveling through the darkness toward a small blue world where a young species was about to learn that the galaxy needed them. Admiral Jack Harrison sat in the war room deep under the Pentagon. Coffee had gone cold in his cup hours ago, but he did not notice. His eyes stayed fixed on the massive screen that showed stars and planets he had never seen before. The alien message had arrived 12 hours ago and changed everything humanity thought they knew about the universe. "Play it again," Harrison said to the technician at the control panel. The technician pressed a button and the desperate voice of Captain Veltar filled the room. Even though the words came through a computer translator, everyone could hear the fear and sadness in the alien's voice. He spoke of dying worlds and harvested populations. He begged for help from anyone who could fight. General Maria Martinez walked into the room carrying a thick folder. Her boots clicked on the concrete floor as she approached Harrison's table. She had been awake for 36 hours straight, working with scientists and military experts to understand what they had received. "Sir, we have the full analysis," she said, setting the folder down. "The message contains star charts, technical data about enemy ships, and detailed reports about their weapons." Harrison opened the folder and looked at the first page. Numbers and diagrams filled every inch of paper. Most of it meant nothing to him, but the summary at the top was clear enough. "They call them Void Reapers," Martinez continued. "Mechanical ships that harvest living beings and turn them into fuel. They have destroyed 17 star systems so far. Their main fleet has over 10,000 ships." Harrison felt his stomach tighten. 10,000 ships. Earth's entire space navy had less than 50 vessels. Most of those were exploration ships, with basic weapons for dealing with asteroids and space pirates. "What about their technology?" Harrison asked. "Far beyond ours, sir," Martinez replied. "They use something called quantum drives for faster-than-light travel. Their weapons can destroy planets. Their shields can stop nuclear weapons." The door opened and Dr. Susan Kim walked in. She was the head of NASA's Deep Space Research Division and one of the smartest people Harrison had ever met. She looked tired, but excited. "Admiral, I have been studying the technical data all night," she said. "The aliens are right. This enemy is incredibly advanced, but there might be hope." Harrison looked up from the folder. "What kind of hope?" Dr. Kim pulled out her tablet and showed him a diagram. "The Reapers are machines, sir. Pure artificial intelligence. They think in patterns, they calculate the best way to do everything, and then they do it exactly that way every time. So they do not adapt well to unexpected situations. Look at these battle reports from the aliens. Every time the Reapers faced a new tactic, it took them hours or even days to figure out how to counter it. And humans are very good at being unexpected." General Martinez nodded. "The aliens mentioned our fight with the Orion pirates. They seemed impressed that we rammed enemy ships when our weapons failed." Harrison remembered that battle. It had been a disaster by normal military standards. Half the fleet destroyed, hundreds of casualties. But every pirate ship had been eliminated. Not one escaped to raid merchant vessels again. "Sir," Dr. Kim continued, "the aliens have been fighting wars the same way for thousands of years. Careful planning, calculated risks, minimal casualties. They retreat when they start losing too many ships, but humans fight differently." "How differently?" Harrison asked. "We fight angry, sir. We take risks that seem crazy to other species, and we never know when to quit." The door burst open and President Collins walked in with his security team. Everyone stood up and saluted. Collins waved them back to their seats and pulled up a chair next to Harrison. "Jack, tell me we can do something about this," Collins said. Harrison looked at the president. They had known each other for 20 years. Collins had been a senator when Harrison was just a captain. Both men had fought in the Middle East conflicts before moving to Space Command. "Mr. President, it looks impossible," Harrison said honestly. "They have better ships, better weapons, and a lot more of them. Any sane military commander would say we cannot win." "But?" Collins asked. "But we are not sane, sir. We are human. And humans have been fighting impossible battles since we lived in caves." Dr. Kim leaned forward. "Mr. President, I think we have advantages they do not expect. Our ships are built for war. Theirs are built for harvesting. Our crews are trained to fight until they die. Their artificial intelligence will calculate when a battle is lost and retreat." General Martinez opened another file. "Sir, I have been looking at our available forces. We can put together a fleet of 47 warships within 18 hours. Not exploration vessels, but real battleships with nuclear weapons and railgun systems." Harrison studied the list of ships. The USS Vengeance was Earth's most powerful battleship. It carried enough nuclear missiles to destroy a small moon. The USS Liberty had the new fusion torpedoes that could punch through any armor humans had ever tested. The USS Defiance was fast and deadly, built to hunt down enemy vessels and destroy them. "Who would command this fleet?" Collins asked. "Admiral Lisa Cooper, sir," Martinez replied. "She has more combat experience than any other officer in the Space Force. She also has a reputation for never retreating from a fight." Harrison nodded. Cooper was known throughout the military as someone who would rather die than surrender. She had been born in Texas and still spoke with a drawl that made enemies underestimate her. That was usually their last mistake. "Get her in here," Collins ordered. 20 minutes later, Admiral Cooper walked into the war room. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She had been commanding warships for 15 years and had never lost a battle. "Admiral Cooper," Collins said, "we need someone to lead a rescue mission to another galaxy. The enemy has superior technology and outnumbers us 200 to 1. Interested?" Cooper smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "Mr. President, are you asking me if I want to go kill some alien machines that have been bullying our neighbors? That is exactly what I am asking." "When do we leave?" Harrison spread the star charts on the table. "The aliens gave us coordinates for their location. It is about 50,000 light-years from Earth. With our fastest ships, we can get there in 2 weeks." Cooper studied the charts. "What do we know about enemy tactics?" Dr. Kim answered. "They attack in geometric formations. Perfect patterns designed for maximum efficiency. They harvest populations systematically, starting with the most populated worlds." "Sounds like they have no imagination," Cooper said. "What about their weaknesses?" "They adapt slowly to new situations," Martinez replied, "and they seem to have trouble dealing with unpredictable behavior." Cooper laughed. "Good thing humans specialize in unpredictable behavior." Collins stood up. "Admiral, I am giving you command of the largest fleet Earth has ever assembled in space. Your mission is to help these aliens fight off the Void Reapers. Do whatever it takes." "Sir, what are my rules of engagement?" Cooper asked. "There are no rules, Admiral. These machines harvest entire populations. They turn living beings into fuel. You have permission to use any weapons necessary to stop them." Cooper saluted. "Understood, sir. We will show these Reapers what happens when they threaten species, under human protection." As the meeting broke up, Harrison walked with Cooper toward the door. "Lisa, you know this might be a one-way trip. These aliens have technology we can barely understand. Their enemy might be more than we can handle." Cooper stopped and looked at him. "Jack, my grandfather fought in World War II. My father fought in Vietnam. I fought in the asteroid wars. Every generation of my family has had to face something that seemed impossible to beat. And we are still here. The enemies are not." Harrison watched her leave. Cooper was right. Humans had a long history of defeating enemies that should have been impossible to beat. Sometimes it was better technology. Sometimes it was better tactics. Most of the time it was just the human refusal to give up. He walked back to the war room where technicians were still analyzing the alien message. On the main screen, star charts showed the path Earth's fleet would take to reach the battle zone. It looked like a very long way to travel to fight an enemy they had never seen. But somewhere in that distant galaxy, aliens were dying while they waited for help. They had sent their message to dozens of species across the universe. Most would ignore it or decide the risk was too great. Only humans would receive a call for help from strangers and immediately start preparing for war. General Martinez approached with another report. Sir, Admiral Cooper wants to accelerate the deployment schedule. She thinks we can launch in 12 hours instead of 18. What about supplies and ammunition? Harrison asked. She says we will figure that out when we get there. Right now, speed is more important than perfect preparation. Harrison smiled. That sounded like Cooper. She had always believed that showing up to fight was more important than having the perfect plan. Sometimes the best strategy was just to hit the enemy as hard as possible and keep hitting until they stopped moving. Give her whatever she needs, Harrison said, and send a message to all our deep space monitoring stations. If any more alien signals come in, I want to know immediately. As night fell over Washington, Earth's military worked frantically to prepare for humanity's first interstellar war. In shipyards around the solar system, weapons were loaded and fuel tanks filled. Crews said goodbye to families they might never see again, but none of them hesitated. Somewhere in the darkness between stars, people were dying and calling for help. That was all humans needed to know. They would answer the call no matter how far they had to travel or how dangerous the enemy might be. Admiral Cooper stood on the observation deck of the USS Vengeance and looked out at the stars. In 12 hours, she would lead Earth's fleet into the unknown to fight an enemy that had conquered most of a galaxy. The odds were terrible. The technology gap was huge. Any reasonable person would say it was suicide. But Cooper was not feeling reasonable. She was feeling angry. Someone was out there harvesting innocent people and turning them into fuel. That made her mad. And when Admiral Lisa Cooper got mad, things tended to explode. She smiled and walked toward the bridge. It was time to show the galaxy what humans did when their friends were in trouble. The space around Jupiter looked like a giant construction yard. 47 warships floated in formation while supply vessels moved between them like busy worker bees. Admiral Lisa Cooper stood on the bridge of the USS Vengeance and watched the final preparations for humanity's most dangerous mission. Admiral, the USS Thunder is requesting additional fusion cores, reported Lieutenant Commander Kate Williams from the communication station. Captain Rodriguez says his ship can carry 50% more firepower if we give him the extra fuel. Cooper nodded. Approved. Strip them from the cargo vessels if necessary. We are not going to this fight half-armed. Captain Ryan Brooks approached from the navigation station. He was the commanding officer of the USS Vengeance and had served with Cooper for 8 years. Brooks was a calm man who never got excited about anything, but today he looked worried. Admiral, I have been studying the star charts the aliens sent us, he said quietly. The jump distance is enormous. We will be operating 50,000 light-years from the nearest human outpost. If something goes wrong, we will be completely on our own. Cooper looked at him with steady eyes. Captain, something has already gone wrong. An army of machines is harvesting entire civilizations. We are going to go fix that problem. Yes, ma'am. But what if we get there and find out the aliens were wrong about our chances? What if these Void Reapers are even stronger than they reported? Cooper walked to the viewing window and looked out at Earth's fleet. Each ship bristled with weapons designed to destroy enemy vessels. Nuclear missiles, fusion torpedoes, railgun cannons, and plasma batteries. Earth had spent 2 centuries perfecting the art of space warfare. Captain Brooks, let me tell you something about humans, she said. We are not the strongest species in our own solar system. Elephants are stronger. We are not the fastest. Cheetahs are faster. We are not the biggest. Whales are bigger. Brooks listened carefully. He had heard the Admiral give this speech before, usually right before a very dangerous mission. But we are still the dominant species on Earth. Do you know why? Because we are smarter? No. Because we are meaner. When something threatens us or threatens something we care about, we become very, very mean. And right now, I am feeling extremely mean toward these Void Reapers. The ship's communication system crackled to life. All hands, this is Admiral Cooper. In 2 hours we will depart for the Andromeda sector to engage hostile forces threatening our galactic neighbors. This is humanity's first major space battle against an alien enemy. Make it count. Across the fleet, 20,000 crew members made final preparations. Weapons officers checked targeting systems. Engineers tested fusion reactors. Marines cleaned their rifles and sharpened their combat knives. Everyone knew they might not return from this mission, but nobody suggested staying home. Commander Alex Turner walked onto the bridge carrying a data pad full of tactical information. Turner was Cooper's chief strategist and had spent the last 12 hours analyzing everything the aliens had told them about Reaper tactics. "Admiral, I have some thoughts about how we should approach this battle," he said. "Let me hear them." The aliens fight in large formations with careful coordination. They try to minimize casualties and preserve their ships. When they start losing, they retreat and regroup. Cooper nodded. "Sounds very civilized." "Yes, ma'am. But it also means they have never fought an enemy that attacks like we do. Human tactics focus on causing maximum damage in minimum time, even if it means taking heavy losses." "Explain." Turner activated his datapad and showed her a tactical display. "Look at these battle reports from the alien coalition. They engage the enemy at long range, exchange fire for hours, then withdraw when their shields get weak. Very safe, and very predictable, and very ineffective against the Reapers." "Exactly. But humans fight differently. We close to short range as fast as possible. We concentrate all our firepower on single targets until they are destroyed. And we never retreat, unless ordered to do so." Cooper smiled. "You are suggesting we get up close and personal with these machines." "Admiral, human ships are tough. We build them to absorb damage and keep fighting. Our crews are trained to operate under combat conditions that would panic most alien species. If we can get inside their formations and start tearing them apart, one by one, their artificial intelligence might not know how to respond." Captain Brooks looked at the tactical display. "Commander Turner, getting close to the enemy means taking a lot of damage. We could lose half the fleet in the first few minutes." "Yes, sir, we could. But if we stay at long range and fight like the aliens do, we will definitely lose the whole fleet eventually. At least this way we have a chance to hurt them badly before they destroy us." Cooper walked back to her command chair and sat down. She had been making life and death decisions for 15 years. This one felt bigger than all the others combined. Not just because of the danger to her fleet, but because the entire galaxy might depend on what happened in the next few days. "All ships prepare for hyperspace jump," she announced. "Navigation, set course for the coordinates provided by our alien friends." Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell at the navigation station began entering jump coordinates. "Admiral, course laid in. Jump distance is 49,732 light-years. Estimated travel time is 13 days, 18 hours. 13 days to reach the battle zone," Cooper said to herself. "I wonder if there will be anyone left to rescue by the time we get there." The communication system came alive again. This time it was Admiral Harrison calling from Earth. "Lisa, you are cleared for departure. The President wanted me to tell you that the entire planet is watching. Make us proud." "Jack, we will do more than make you proud. We are going to show this galaxy what humans do to bullies." The massive engines of the USS Vengeance began to glow as fusion reactors reached full power. Around the fleet, 46 other warships prepared for the longest military deployment in human history. Captain Danny Foster on the USS Lightning ran through his pre-flight checklist. His ship was one of the newer destroyers, built specifically for hit-and-run attacks against enemy formations. Foster had painted shark teeth on the nose of his ship because he thought it looked intimidating. "All systems green, Admiral," Foster reported over the fleet communication channel. "USS Lightning ready for jump." One by one, the other ships reported ready status. The USS Thunder loaded with extra fusion cores and spoiling for a fight. The USS Storm carrying experimental railgun ammunition that could punch through any known armor. The USS Fury, whose crew had painted death from above on their hull in letters 10 feet tall. "All ships report ready for hyperspace jump," reported Lieutenant Mitchell. Cooper looked around the bridge at her crew. These people had volunteered to travel across the galaxy to fight an enemy they had never seen. They were leaving behind families, friends, and the safety of human space to help strangers who had asked for their aid. Execute jump, Cooper ordered. Space twisted around the human fleet as 47 warships entered hyperspace simultaneously. The stars disappeared, replaced by the strange colors and impossible geometries of faster-than-light travel. Earth fell behind them, growing smaller and more distant with each passing second. But the ships were not empty metal shells racing through the void. They carried something the galaxy had never seen before in such concentrated form: human determination, human anger, human refusal to let innocent people die while they had the power to help. Captain Michelle Davis stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance and watched the hyperspace display. Her ship was known throughout the fleet for never backing down from a fight. The crew had a motto painted in the main corridor: "We go where others fear to tread." "Captain, engineering reports all systems operating normally," said her executive officer, Commander James Patterson. "Fusion reactors at optimal efficiency, weapon systems fully charged." Davis nodded. "Good. When we drop out of hyperspace, I want to be ready to fight immediately. No delays, no hesitation." 3 decks below, Marine Colonel Janet Hayes was addressing her troops in the main assembly area. Hayes was a veteran of the asteroid mining wars and had never lost a ground battle. Her Marines called her Iron Janet because she seemed impossible to break. "Marines, we are going to fight an enemy that harvests people like crops," she told them. "They take living beings and turn them into fuel for their war machines. That makes me very unhappy. When I am unhappy, I like to shoot things until I feel better." The Marines laughed, but it was not funny laughter. It was the sound soldiers make when they are about to do something extremely dangerous and want to convince themselves they are not afraid. "Our job is to board enemy ships and destroy them from the inside," Hayes continued. "The Navy will get us close. We will do the rest. Remember your training. Remember your families back home. And remember that we are Marines. We do not lose." Back on the bridge of the USS Vengeance, Cooper was reviewing battle plans with her senior officers. The aliens had provided detailed information about Reaper ship designs, but Cooper did not trust it completely. The information was weeks old and the enemy might have adapted their tactics. "We need to be ready for surprises," she told them. "These machines might have learned new tricks since the aliens fought them last. Stay flexible and be prepared to change tactics quickly." Commander Turner pulled up a holographic display showing Reaper ship formations. "Admiral, the enemy prefers to fight in geometric patterns: spheres, cubes, pyramid shapes, very organized and very predictable. What happens if we disrupt those patterns? According to the alien reports, they become less effective. Their artificial intelligence needs time to calculate new formations. If we can break up their organization, we might be able to defeat smaller groups before they can regroup." Cooper studied the display. Human tactics were exactly the opposite of geometric patterns. Human commanders believed in chaos, confusion, and hitting the enemy where they least expected it. "Turner, I want you to prepare multiple attack plans, hit-and-run tactics, concentrated assaults on single targets, divide-and-conquer strategies. I want options for every situation we might encounter." "Yes, ma'am. What about casualties?" Cooper was quiet for a long moment. She knew that question would come up eventually. Earth's fleet was powerful, but they were badly outnumbered. Even if they won, many ships would not return home. "Commander, we will take casualties. Probably heavy casualties. But that is not our primary concern. Our job is to stop these machines from harvesting innocent people. If we have to sacrifice our entire fleet to do that, then that is what we will do." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone understood what the Admiral was saying. This was not just a military mission. It was a rescue operation that might require them to give their lives to save people they had never met. "Admiral," Captain Brooks said quietly, "the crew understands the risks. We all volunteered for this mission knowing we might not come home. But I want you to know that every person on this ship is proud to serve under your command." Cooper felt a tightness in her throat. She had commanded many ships and many crews, but she had never been more proud of the people who served with her. "Thank you, Captain. Now let us go show the galaxy what humans can do." The fleet continued through hyperspace, racing toward a battle that would determine whether the galaxy would fall to mechanical horrors or be saved by Earth's most dangerous export, humanity's unlimited willingness to fight for strangers in need. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace into a scene of total destruction. Admiral Cooper stood on the bridge of the USS Vengeance and stared at the main display screen. What she saw made her stomach turn and her anger burn white-hot. Pieces of destroyed alien ships floated everywhere like a metal graveyard. Some chunks were as big as city blocks. Others were small fragments that sparkled in the light of distant stars. This had once been a thriving star system with colonies and trade stations. Now it was a tomb. "Jesus Christ," whispered Lieutenant Commander Kate Williams from her station. Her voice was barely audible, but everyone on the bridge heard her. Captain Brooks studied the sensor readings with professional calm, but Cooper could see the muscles in his jaw tightening. "Admiral, I am reading debris from at least 200 alien vessels, coalition ships from 12 different species." "Any survivors?" Cooper asked. "Scanning now," replied Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell at the sensor station. Her fingers moved quickly over her controls as she searched for life signs among the wreckage. "Wait, I have something. 3 ships, badly damaged, hiding in that asteroid field at Grid 77. Cooper looked at the tactical display. 3 small dots blinked green among the red markers that showed destroyed vessels. "Survivors, get me a communication channel." The main screen flickered and the face of an alien appeared. It was Captain Veltar, the same being who had sent the desperate message to Earth. But he looked terrible. His blue skin was pale and cuts covered his face. Behind him, Cooper could see smoke and sparks from damaged equipment. "Human ships," Veltar said, his voice filled with disbelief. "You came. You actually came. Captain Veltar, this is Admiral Lisa Cooper of the Earth Space Force. We received your message and we are here to help." "Admiral, you must leave immediately," Veltar said urgently. "The Reapers have over 300 ships in this system. Your fleet is brave, but you cannot fight so many." Cooper smiled grimly. "Captain, how many ships did you have when you fought them?" "Nearly 400 vessels from the coalition forces." "And they destroyed all of you?" Veltar's face showed pain and shame. "Yes, we lost everything. Billions of people died because we could not stop them." "Well, Captain, we are not you, we are humans, and we did not come here to run away." Cooper turned to her tactical officer. "Commander Turner, what is our situation?" Turner studied his displays. "Admiral, I count 273 Reaper vessels in this system. They are arranged in geometric formations around what used to be the main colony world. It looks like they are harvesting the remaining population." "Harvesting," Cooper repeated. The word made her feel sick and angry at the same time. These machines were treating living beings like crops to be gathered. "Admiral," Captain Brooks said quietly, "we are outnumbered almost 6 to 1. Cooper looked around the bridge at her crew. She saw determination in every face. These people had traveled 50,000 light-years to fight an enemy they had never seen. They knew the odds were terrible, but nobody suggested retreating. "Communications, open a channel to all ships in the fleet," Cooper ordered. "Channel, open, Admiral." Cooper took a deep breath. What she said next would either inspire her crews to impossible victory or be the last words many of them ever heard. "This is Admiral Cooper to all ships. We have arrived at the battle zone. The enemy has nearly 300 vessels. They are currently harvesting the civilian population of this system. I know the odds look bad, but I want you to remember something. We are not here to play it safe. We are here to stop these machines from turning innocent people into fuel." She paused and looked at the tactical display showing Reaper formations. "Human, tactics are simple. We get close, we hit hard, and we do not stop until the enemy is destroyed. Today we show this galaxy what happens when you threaten species under human protection. All ships, attack Formation Alpha. Target the Reaper concentration around the colony world." Across the fleet, 47 warships turned toward the enemy and began accelerating. The USS Vengeance led the charge, its massive fusion engines pushing it to combat speed. Behind it came destroyers, cruisers, and battleships, all loaded with enough weapons to sterilize a small moon. The Void Reapers detected the approaching human fleet and began moving to intercept. Their ships were dark angular vessels that looked more like geometric shapes than spacecraft. They moved in perfect formation, calculating the most efficient way to destroy the human intruders. "Enemy vessels are charging weapons," reported Turner. "I am reading energy signatures unlike anything in our database." "Distance to target?" Cooper asked. 200,000 kilometers and closing," Mitchell replied. "All ships, prepare to engage. Remember, we hit them fast, and we hit them hard." The space between the fleets filled with deadly light as both sides opened fire. Reaper weapons sent beams of pure energy across the void, while human ships launched nuclear missiles and fusion torpedoes. Captain Danny Foster, on the USS Lightning, watched the first exchange of fire from his command chair. His destroyer was built for speed and hit-and-run attacks. As soon as the big ships engaged the main enemy force, he would take his ship into the Reaper formation and cause as much chaos as possible. "Captain, enemy fire is punching through our shields," reported his weapons officer. "But look at this. Their beams are designed to disable, not destroy. They want to capture our ships intact." Foster grinned. "Too bad for them. We do not surrender." The human fleet crashed into the Reaper formation like a hammer hitting glass. Instead of the careful, long-range battle the aliens had fought, the humans closed to point-blank range and began tearing enemy ships apart with concentrated firepower. The USS Thunder, loaded with extra fusion cores, fired all of its weapons at once into a Reaper battleship. The enemy vessel's shields held for 3 seconds before collapsing. The fusion torpedoes punched through the hull and detonated inside the ship. The Reaper vessel broke in half and exploded. "First kill confirmed," Turner reported with satisfaction. "USS Thunder has destroyed an enemy battleship." But the Reapers were adapting quickly. Their artificial intelligence calculated new tactics and began concentrating fire on individual human ships. The USS Storm took multiple hits and began falling behind the main formation. "Storm is requesting assistance," Williams reported. "They have lost main engines and weapons are offline." Cooper watched the tactical display. The USS Storm was surrounded by 6 Reaper vessels, all firing into the crippled human ship. In a few minutes, the Storm would be destroyed. "USS Fury, USS Defiance, break formation and assist the Storm," Cooper ordered. Captain Michelle Davis, on the USS Defiance, did not hesitate. Her ship turned sharply and accelerated toward the surrounded vessel. Behind her came the USS Fury, its crew eager for a close-range fight. The 2 human ships hit the Reaper formation from the side, catching the enemy vessels by surprise. The USS Defiance rammed one Reaper ship while firing all weapons into another. The USS Fury used its advanced railgun system to punch holes through enemy hulls at close range. "This is Captain Davis," came the voice over the communication channel. "We have broken the enemy formation around Storm. All Reaper vessels in this area are destroyed." Cooper smiled fiercely. "Well done, Defiance. Reform with the main fleet." The battle raged for 2 hours. Human ships darted in and out of enemy formations, using their superior speed and maneuverability to avoid concentrated fire. When Reaper vessels tried to surround individual human ships, other vessels would break formation to help. The artificial intelligence controlling the Reaper fleet had never encountered tactics like this. The aliens they had fought before retreated when they took heavy damage. Humans did the opposite. They became more aggressive when wounded. Captain Rodriguez on the USS Thunder found himself surrounded by 4 Reaper vessels after his engines were damaged. Instead of calling for help, he ordered all remaining power transferred to weapons. "If we are going down, we are taking them with us," he announced to his crew. The Thunder fired everything it had into the nearest Reaper ship. Nuclear missiles, fusion torpedoes, and railgun rounds all hit the enemy vessel at the same time. The Reaper ship exploded in a ball of superheated plasma, but Rodriguez was not finished. He ordered his helmsman to ram the second Reaper vessel. The Thunder crashed into the enemy ship at full speed, destroying both vessels in a massive explosion. "Thunder is gone," Turner reported quietly. but they took 2 Reaper ships with them. Cooper felt sadness and pride at the same time. Captain Rodriguez and his crew had died fighting, but they had shown the enemy what human determination looked like. The tide of battle began to turn. The Reapers had superior technology, but human tactics were causing chaos in their formations. Every time the artificial intelligence calculated a response to human attacks, the humans would change tactics and attack from a different direction. "Admiral, enemy formation is breaking apart," Turner reported with excitement. "They are trying to reform into smaller groups." "Perfect," Cooper replied. "All ships, divide into attack groups of 3 vessels each. Hunt down the enemy formations and destroy them one by one." The human fleet scattered across the battlefield like a pack of wolves. Groups of 3 ships would surround isolated Reaper vessels and destroy them with concentrated fire. When larger enemy formations tried to regroup, human ships would hit them from multiple directions at once. Captain Foster on the USS Lightning found himself chasing a damaged Reaper ship through an asteroid field. The enemy vessel was faster than his destroyer, but Foster had something the artificial intelligence did not understand: human stubbornness. "Sir, we are taking damage from the asteroids," his navigator reported. "Recommend we break off pursuit." "Negative," Foster replied. "That machine helped harvest innocent people. It does not get to escape." Foster pushed his ship through the asteroid field, taking damage from flying rocks but gaining on the Reaper vessel. When he got close enough, he fired every weapon his ship carried. The enemy vessel exploded against a large asteroid. Across the battle zone, similar scenes played out. Human crews pushed their ships beyond safe limits to catch and destroy fleeing enemies. They rammed damaged Reaper vessels when their weapons failed. They used their ships as missiles when all else was lost. The artificial intelligence controlling the Reaper fleet tried to calculate an effective response, but human behavior made no sense according to its programming. The humans should have retreated when they started taking casualties. Instead, they became more dangerous. "Admiral, final count shows 87 Reaper vessels destroyed," Turner reported. "Remaining enemy ships are retreating toward the outer system." Cooper looked at the tactical display. Of the 47 ships that had entered this battle, 31 were still operational. 16 ships had been lost, along with their brave crews. But they had accomplished something the entire alien coalition could not do. They had defeated a Reaper fleet in open combat. "All ships, pursue the retreating enemy," Cooper ordered. "We do not let them escape to attack other worlds." But before, the human ships could give chase. New contacts appeared on the sensors. More Reaper vessels were arriving from deep space, attracted by the battle. This time, there were over 400 ships. "Admiral," Brooks said quietly, "we have won this battle, but we cannot fight another force that size. We should withdraw while we can." Cooper looked at the tactical display, then at Captain Veltar's face on the communication screen. The alien was staring at her with amazement and hope. "Captain Veltar, are there other survivors in this system?" "Yes, Admiral. Thousands of civilians are hiding on moons and space stations, but the Reapers will find them eventually." Cooper made her decision. "Then we stay and fight. All ships prepare for round 2. 6 months had passed since the great battle at Sanctuary Prime. Admiral Jake Morrison stood at the observation deck of Earth's largest orbital station, watching ships come and go like busy insects around a hive. But these were not just human ships anymore. Strange alien vessels with smooth curves and glowing hulls docked next to Earth's angular warships. The sight still amazed him. The galaxy had changed completely. News traveled fast among the stars, and word of humanity's victory spread like wildfire. Species that had lived under the hegemony's boot for decades suddenly found the courage to fight back. Prison camps were liberated. Slave worlds declared independence. The great empire that had terrorized 3 galactic arms was crumbling piece by piece. Morrison's communication console chimed. Captain Lisa Hayes appeared on the screen, her face tired but satisfied. She was calling from the bridge of the UES Retribution, now permanently stationed in the Andromeda sector. "Admiral, we just received word from the Keltor system. The last hegemony fortress there has fallen. The locals did it themselves, using the tactics General Brooks taught them. Hayes smiled. They're asking if they can join the Alliance. Morrison nodded. It was the same story he heard every day. More species wanted to join what they now called the Galactic Liberation Alliance. The name had not been his choice, but it stuck. Every freed world seemed to think humanity had started some grand crusade to liberate the galaxy. Maybe they had. What's our fleet status, Lisa? Morrison asked. We have 47 ships operational in this sector. The Valen are providing excellent repair facilities, and their engineers are learning fast. The new hybrid designs are working better than expected. Hayes paused. Jake, you should see this place now. Sanctuary Prime looks nothing like it did during the siege. They're rebuilding everything, and they're building it to accommodate dozens of different species. Morrison had seen the reports. What was once a desperate refugee world was becoming the unofficial capital of the new alliance. Species that had never trusted each other were working side by side. Humans had somehow become the glue that held it all together. Dr. Paul Carter walked onto the observation deck, carrying a tablet filled with translation algorithms. The man looked exhausted but excited. He had been working around the clock to establish communication with new species joining the Alliance. Admiral, you need to see this, Carter said, holding up his tablet. I've been analyzing the communication patterns from 17 different species. They're all developing similar words for concepts they never had before. Words for cooperation between different species. Words for sacrifice for strangers. They're calling it human thinking. Morrison raised an eyebrow. Human thinking? They believe we think differently than other species. They say most intelligent races look out for their own kind first, then maybe consider others if it benefits them. But humans seem to have this strange idea that all intelligent life has value, even if it's not human. Carter shook his head in wonder. They think it's some kind of genetic quirk that makes us want to protect others. Morrison was not sure if that was true, but he had seen the evidence. Human soldiers had died protecting alien civilians they had never met before. Human doctors worked day and night treating wounded beings from species they could barely pronounce the names of. Human engineers shared their best technology freely with anyone who asked. Maybe humans were different. Or maybe they were just the first species strong enough to act on what many others felt but could not risk. Lieutenant Colonel Beth Turner's voice came over the station's communication system. Admiral Morrison to Docking Bay 7. Please, Admiral Morrison to Docking Bay 7. Morrison made his way through the station's corridors. The halls were wider now, built to accommodate the various alien species that visited regularly. He passed a group of young human officers talking with tall, blue-skinned Valen engineers. They were discussing weapon modifications, sharing ideas that would have been top secret just a year ago. In Docking Bay 7, Turner stood next to a sleek transport ship. With her were 20 alien soldiers, each from a different species. They wore modified human combat armor and carried human weapons, but their faces showed the confidence of elite warriors. Admiral, meet the first graduating class of the Void Rangers Interspecies Program, Turner said proudly. Each of them will return to their homeworld to train more soldiers in human tactics. We're building a galaxy-wide special forces network. Morrison looked at the diverse group of warriors. There was a reptilian Saurak whose scales gleamed like metal armor, a insectoid hiver whose compound eyes missed nothing, a gaseous being from the nebula worlds who somehow maintained a humanoid shape in specialized containment gear. 20 different evolutionary paths, but all sharing the same determined expression he had seen on human soldiers. How are they adapting to our methods? Morrison asked. Better than expected, Turner replied. The biggest challenge was getting them to understand our concept of acceptable losses. Most species either fight to the death or surrender quickly. The idea of calculated risk of sacrificing some to save many was foreign to them, but they're learning. One of the alien soldiers, a tall being with silver skin and 4 arms, stepped forward. Admiral Morrison, it said in perfect English. I am Commander Veltar of the Asterix Defense Force. I want to thank you for what your species has done. My people were slaves for 40 years. Now we are free, and we know how to stay free. Morrison felt uncomfortable with the gratitude. Humans had not set out to become galactic liberators. They had simply answered a call for help. But he understood that for these beings, the difference did not matter. "Your freedom is your own achievement, Commander," Morrison replied. "We just helped you remember your strength." The alien commander's eyes widened, and Morrison realized he had said something significant. Turner smiled knowingly. After the transport departed with its cargo of newly trained warriors, Morrison returned to his office. General Ryan Brooks was waiting for him, along with several holographic projections of human commanders stationed throughout the galaxy. "Jake, we need to talk about the expansion," Brooks said without preamble. "We have requests for assistance from 43 different systems. The hegemony remnants are trying to regroup in the Outer Rim, and there are reports of 3 other hostile empires taking notice of our activities." Morrison studied the galactic map that dominated one wall of his office. Red dots marked known threats, blue dots showed alliance worlds, and green dots indicated neutral systems that might join them. The red dots seemed to be growing. "What's our assessment of the new threats?" Morrison asked. Captain Tony Martinez materialized as a hologram. He was calling from deep space somewhere beyond the edge of known civilization. "Admiral, I've been scouting the Gamma sector. There's something calling itself the collective of minds out here. They're not like the hegemony. They don't conquer worlds, they absorb them. They turn entire populations into parts of a single hive mind." Morrison felt a chill. "How big are they?" "Unknown, but they've been expanding for at least 200 years. They move slowly, but they never stop. And, Admiral," Martinez paused, "they've been asking questions about humans. They want to know why we think as individuals but fight as a unified force. They think we might be some kind of hybrid collective." Another commander, Colonel Amy Walsh, spoke from her position in the Perseus arm. "We're seeing similar intelligence about something called the Void Hunters in this sector. They're nomadic, but they consume entire star systems for resources. Strip mining on a galactic scale. They haven't shown interest in us yet, but they're heading in our general direction." Morrison looked at the map again. Each new threat represented millions or billions of lives at risk. The hegemony had been brutal, but at least they kept their slaves alive. These new enemies sounded far worse. "Recommendations?" Morrison asked. Brooks leaned forward. "We need to expand the alliance faster than we planned. Every free world is a potential ally, but more importantly, every free world is one less resource for our enemies. We also need to accelerate the technology sharing programs. Our weapons are good, but alien innovations could make them better." Chief Engineer Sam Johnson's image flickered to life. He was calling from the Joint Research Station in the Valen system. "Admiral, I have good news on that front. Working with alien scientists has produced some incredible breakthroughs. The Sauric have metallurgy techniques that can make our armor twice as strong. The Asterix have developed shield generators that can protect entire cities. The Hiver have biological computers that process tactical data faster than anything we've built." Morrison nodded. "And the bad news? Production capacity. We can design amazing things, but building them fast enough is the problem. We need more worlds, more factories, more trained workers. The hegemony had the advantage of centuries to build their infrastructure. We're trying to do the same thing in years." The meeting continued for 2 hours, covering logistics, strategy, and the countless details of managing a galactic alliance. When it ended, Morrison was alone with his thoughts and the weight of billions of lives resting on his decisions. "Doctor," Carter returned with more translation work, this time accompanied by a being Morrison had never seen before. It looked like a living crystal formation, refracting light into beautiful patterns as it moved. "Admiral, this is Ambassador Crystalline Song of Harmony, from the Silicon Reaches," Carter said. "Her people have been watching our activities with great interest." The crystal being spoke in a voice like wind chimes. "Greetings, Admiral Morrison. My people have observed the changes you have brought to this galaxy. We are curious about something. Why do humans risk themselves for beings they have never met?" Morrison had been asked this question many times by many species. He had never found a satisfactory answer. "I suppose we believe that all intelligent life has value," he said. "But why?" The crystal being pressed. "What benefit do you gain from protecting others?" Morrison thought about it. Maybe it's not about benefit. Maybe it's about what kind of universe we want to live in. A universe where the strong protect the weak seems better than one where the strong devour the weak. The crystal being's light pattern shifted, indicating deep thought. "This concept is difficult for my people to understand. We have always believed that each species must earn its place through strength or cleverness. But we have watched human actions and we see that your method creates something new. Cooperation where there was competition. Unity where there was division. Is that why you're here?" Morrison asked. "Yes. My people wish to learn this human way of thinking. We offer our knowledge of quantum mechanics and dimensional physics in exchange for understanding how to care for others as you do." Carter's eyes lit up. "Admiral, their quantum knowledge could revolutionize our faster-than-light travel. We could cut travel times by 70%. Morrison smiled. This was how the alliance grew, one species at a time, each bringing something valuable to share. It was not conquest or domination. It was voluntary cooperation on a scale never seen before. That night, Morrison stood again at the observation deck, watching the stars. Captain Nick Davis joined him, fresh from another humanitarian mission to a recently liberated world. "Tough day?" Davis asked. "They're all tough days now," Morrison replied. "But good days too. We're building something unprecedented, Nick. A galactic civilization based on cooperation instead of conquest." Davis nodded. "The medical data supports that. Species working together are healthier, live longer, reproduce more successfully. It's as if cooperation is a natural evolutionary advantage that most races never discovered." Morrison's communication console chimed with an urgent priority signal. The image that appeared was Lieutenant Danny Cooper, now Captain Cooper, calling from Deep Space Patrol near the galaxy's edge. "Admiral, you need to hear this. We just received a transmission from outside our galaxy. It's another SOS, but this one is from a completely different galaxy cluster. They're facing something called the entropy swarm, and they've heard about what we did here. They're asking for help." Morrison stared at the transmission data. Another galaxy, another desperate plea for help, another chance to make the universe a little bit better. He thought about Earth, about the small blue world that had sent its children across the stars to answer a call for help. They had started with one SOS and built a galactic alliance. Maybe it was time to think even bigger. "Danny, send a response. Tell them we'll need more information, but Earth doesn't abandon those in need. We'll find a way to help." As Cooper's image faded, Morrison realized that humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. They had answered one galactic SOS and changed the fate of billions. Now another galaxy was calling. The universe was vast and full of dangers, but it was also full of hope, because somewhere among the stars humanity would always answer the call.